Jim, we're recording.
Are looking pretty sharp.
Winter break.
We shut up, Jake.
All starters, and it's very sharp.
Jim's looking pretty sharp.
Are these mics not on?
Nope.
Oh, man. Maybe that's strategic.
We can talk about it.
Hey, Danielle.
There we go.
There we go. Thanks, Mike.
All right, folks, can you hear me? I'm not-
Yes, you're good. Say it again.
Test. I guess that, yeah, okay.
Good.
Yep, thanks. All right, so it's 1 minute after 7, and everybody's here. Everybody's Board of Finance is all here. So we'll call the meeting to order. Due to things getting thrown a little off by the weather, we did not manage to get printed agendas for the audience, so, but it's a pretty simple agenda, so I will read through it as we go. So first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so the presentations tonight are from Human Services with CIP and outside agencies with CIP. Then we have a bid waiver request from the Recreation Department. And at the end, we have a discussion of, possible discussion of modification to budget hearing meeting dates, which we obviously will talk about when we're going to meet to take care of the business we missed last night. Okay, so Leanne, I think this is your...
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Some new faces this year. I'm Leanne Theodore. I'm the Director of Human Services. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm excited to report that we aren't coming in with a lot of changes this year. So if you've had a chance to see our numbers that we put through, we're pretty much status quo with some very minor increases just to address some issues that we're having with supplies and postage and such. I am also here tonight by myself. A lot of my team members live in Rhode Island and other parts of the community, and we're having problems getting here. So I said I would be here to answer any questions for all 4 divisions. If there's any specific division questions that I need to get back on, I will do that. Also, I want to welcome our agency partners that are here tonight. I do see some, but again, it will be a quieter night due to weather. We've had some responses that people are unable to come. Some people sent some written testimony my way this afternoon, which I'm happy to present on their behalf. But I did hand out a copy of my budget presentation for this year. If I could just go through a few things within that before we go down through the lines, that would be great. Every year for the new faces at the table, I like to present a chart with just our division numbers and what we are seeing with trends, with program services and people served. So as you can see, because we're still in 25-26, I've presented numbers on fiscal year 24-25. Our department served 4,038 individuals throughout 4 divisions. That's culminating in about 1,700 households. Identifiable services by division, social services peaks with 9,238 identifiable services. So just to clarify what that is, that's a phone call, that's somebody that we're meeting in person, a service that we're providing to a resident in need. 1,260 services for youth and family. That's counseling services, preschool program, after-school programs and such. And senior services, 412 services. That is mostly day trips as well as choices counseling for people in need of some extra help with their Medicare plans. And then recreation, always coming in with a high number as well. Rich Ward actually was right behind me in the office. I'm wondering if he went to a different location because he was leaving at the same time I was. coming in with some really high numbers there. It's also exciting to report on some recreation programming numbers as we go down on page 1. Our flag football league has 355 kids participating. That's with one program coordinator. So we have only 2 people within that division that are full-time, putting together all of these awesome programs for the community. Almost 200 kids in our basketball league. That went from 90 from a couple of years ago. We were struggling with registrations, and we really kind of beefed up the program and brought those numbers up to where they are today. Summer camp is always a very popular program in town. We're already full for this summer. We started registration on February 1st, and we're already full for the summer. So we like to provide a really low-cost, high-quality option for people in need of childcare in the summer. Rich has arrived, making a grand entrance while I'm talking about
I went to the police station, sorry I'm
our
late.
stellar recreation numbers. And you can just see some of the other programs that we have going on. We've also beefed up our numbers with our fitness classes, and that's mostly in part because we've taken over the old Board of Education building in Old Mystic. It's now the Fitness Annex, as we call it, and we've made some improvements to that to put in new kind of a studio flooring, some mirrors, to create more opportunities for seniors in the community for fitness classes and enrichment programs. What we keep hearing from residents is that they want to see more senior programs. We do have the Pawcatuck Neighborhood Center, which acts as our senior center for the town of Stonington, but we often get times compared to Groton. It's kind of like a Taj Mahal of senior programming. So we're trying to just not duplicate anything that any of our partners have going on, but also offer more for that section of Stonington in the Old Mystic area. So that's been exciting this year. For recreation, we have some pretty significant projects and facility upgrades in the works. Pawcatuck VFW Field is coming to fruition, so thank you to Danielle while she was first selectman, really helped us move that forward. We historically have people chomping at the bit, our youth leagues, to get more field time, practice time, and we've just tapped out on where our spaces are in Stonington that we can use for viable fields. So this is a great opportunity as it's right next door to our location, so we can keep an eye on that. Maintenance can help with lining and such. So it's a great addition. Mystic River Boathouse Park and the Circus Lot, 2 really exciting projects that we have going on. Mystic River Boathouse Park is almost right there with opening, and the Circus Lot, many of you may have seen that we just qualified for some funding to put a playground into the Circus Lot and some other massive improvements. Just to give you a little history for those that aren't familiar with where that is or what that location is like. It's right behind the Pawcatuck Fire Department, beautiful waterfront property that when my dad was young used to be a circus lot, and he used to play softball there. So to see that come back to life in a different way is really great, because with wearing my other hat in social services, we oftentimes go for hikes back there with our partners from the Warm Center to look for homeless camps that have popped up in that area. So to have that area be developed in a positive way for open space and use for that community is pretty exciting. Oftentimes we hear that there's not enough places for kids to go outside of the school properties, so this will be a really nice property for that section of the community. And also, I already spoke about the fitness annex. We've got a few field dedications coming up, and we also have some ADA accessible beach opportunities coming up, where we're in talks with SVIA right now to get some mats to put down at the point and other locations for people that have mobility issues to be able to explore the shoreline. We're also looking at an online communication tool for programs that we use, so it would be similar to like a Power School or School Dude app that would shoot out messages to all of our program participants to keep parents more in the loop with our preschool program and summer camp as those programs are taking place. And we've also made some pretty significant playground equipment replacement and repair. Some of the replacements, we were talking about how long some of these pieces of equipment have lasted. The swings, for instance, at the town dock playground. I've been with the town for over 20 years, and I don't recall replacing those swings. So the equipment is quality, but is coming to end of life. Excited to report that we are able to move a lot of these things forward with grants and with our own program revenue that recreation programs take in. So you will not see a lot of SIP requests or appropriations asked from our department, more along the lines of bid waivers that might come through. But we try to put the money that comes into our programs, flip it right back in for the community to enjoy and use. We are not requesting any new positions this fiscal year, but I did want to be transparent that as we're looking at these pretty significant enhancements to the community with facilities and program expansion, we will be exploring what our staffing looks like to be able to support these new facilities that are coming on board. Our department also recently overtook from the Selectman's office oversight of the Donahue Park as well as the Town Dock Park for usage. And with that, we want to make sure that we have eyes on those areas, what events are taking place. And right now we have Rich Ward as our recreation administrator and Pete Christine is our program coordinator, two-man show, running a lot of things right now and really spread thin in being able to do everything with a degree of excellence. So we will be looking at staffing and possibly coming for next fiscal year's budget hearing with a request for some extra support for that division. Moving on to Youth and Family Services, we continue to be responsive to families in times of crisis. We often get referrals from the school for families that might not have heat or hot water, families that might be in need of food security, and we help move that forward in a really discreet manner, either meeting at the school or inviting families to come to us at Human Services for help. We have really strong partnerships with Child and Family Agency. We continue to refer most of the youth coming in for counseling services to their agency, which is right down the street. They have a satellite office right now currently in Pawcatuck, right down the street from Human Services, and that's been a very great, successful partnership. With that partnership, we've also been able to reduce our own counseling budget a little bit over the past few fiscal years because of the referrals. We continue to really focus our program development on disengaged youth, so middle school kids that aren't participating in sports, high school kids that we don't want to see hanging out downtown. Those are really hard populations to engage, so we're trying to come up with some new and different ideas. We have some cooking classes that we've been doing, which have been really fun for the kids, and they seem to really be taking to. And it's providing some life skills as well as positive social engagement for kids that otherwise just aren't participating in other things for whatever reason. So we continue our focus on those things. We also have community events that we continue to run throughout the year for free, movie nights, Halloween, different holiday events that usually attract a few hundred people each time. So that division also has a great focus on prevention work. The Stonington Prevention Council also falls within the auspice of Youth and Family Services. And we have a lot of anti-vaping campaigns and are just responsive to what the school may be seeing with substance abuse trends and such, and provide resources for them. Social services and senior services within our department really almost sometimes fall under one umbrella. Times are hard. It's no secret that we live in a community that has very high rent. Fair market rent for a two-bedroom apartment, we're looking anywhere, if we're lucky, from $1,800 to $2,300 a month. That's a mortgage for a lot of people when they were starting out 10 years ago. So we're very creative with the general assistance money that we do get to make sure that we're meeting the needs to help create self-sufficiency going forward and not Band-Aid someone's situation. If someone comes to us with a need for financial assistance, we collect bank statements, we collect the last 30 days of income for everyone in the household. If there is no income, we don't really move forward financial assistance in those scenarios because there's no self-sufficiency going forward. The town does not provide ongoing welfare assistance. There are no ongoing financial assistance programs anywhere anymore, even through the state, that can really sustain a household. So a big part of social services for us is budget counseling and life coaching and job coaching and getting people back on their feet that have fallen on hard times. With that being said, you'll always see those numbers kind of remain the same. And I just want to be clear, there's some misconception sometimes that we're keeping people kind of in their situation and our numbers don't change, it's the same folks coming in. It's not the same folks coming in, it's different people all the time that fall on hard times for medical reasons, job loss. Sometimes a car repair can throw a household into complete disarray, a household that's living check to check. Most of the people we see are working, most of them are working more than one job to try and self-sustain. A lot of times we may reach out to our partners at the COMO to help with childcare and help offset those costs to get people back to work. Just try to be creative to help people stay afloat in very difficult times. We're constantly referring to the Pawcatuck Neighborhood Center for food insecurity and also to the United Way mobile food pantries. I really like to focus on the community outreach that we continue to do. So with the addition of the community outreach specialist position, that great partnership with the police department that we added about 4.5 years ago now, we've really reached so many residents that we would not have reached before. We're up to 727 referrals for that program within the past 4 fiscal years. And again, I really have to extend a huge thank you to the police department for their support of that program. We do now have a designated officer that does home visits with our community outreach specialist. They could be out there every single day. That's the wait list that we currently have for home visits. Our referrals are coming mostly from first responders, from the police department, local ambulance corps, fire department might respond for a situation and realize the house has no water, the house has a hoarding situation, or there's greater need than we ever knew until those first responders enter the home. So those are the most difficult and complicated of our cases that this program is focusing on, but it's really making a difference. We have a homeless collaborative that's formed over the past few years with the addition of this position. We meet weekly with New London Homeless Hospitality as well as the Worm Center and reach out to Always Home in Mystic for family needs. But this collaborative literally addresses cases as they come and is boots on the ground in the community. They're walking in the park, they're walking behind St. Michael's Church, St. Michael's Cemetery, walking off of 78, looking for people. We get tips from the community of maybe a tent popped up behind Tractor Supply in Pawcatuck. We get that call, and this group is responsive to that, and we'll go out there. Just to highlight the importance and the need for this program, we did lose one of our longtime clients that actually passed away outside due to exposure just a couple of months ago. So this is a reality. This is happening. This particular individual passed away in Westerly, was a resident of Pawcatuck for many, many years, was one of the folks we had been working with to help for many years. So this isn't something that you see, people have a misconception of homelessness. You don't see people sleeping on the street in our community, but they are out there. And we do our best to engage. We cannot force people to accept services. So a lot of times there's specifically some individuals that have a lot of stuff, and we get calls about one individual specifically in Mystic. We're very engaged with that specific person. If that individual will not accept our help, there's not much we can do. Our hands are tied, but we keep trying. So this group has been massively important for the community, and I've just highlighted here some of the referrals by key concern, so you can kind of see where the highest numbers are falling. Homelessness is topping out at 169 unique referrals over the past 4 years. Coming in second is our domestic violence and other police referrals, followed by mental health, substance abuse, and suicidal individuals, and follow that by elderly protective services, and then you can see the list as it goes on. The strong collaborative keeps us going. We wouldn't be able to do this without the partnership with our nonprofits, so it's very important that they exist in this as well. We could not do this as a one-man show at Human Services by any means. So I'm grateful to our partners that are here tonight and that we work with that are not present tonight. Other than that, we are coming in fairly level funded this fiscal year. You'll see some balances still remaining, specifically in our youth program coordinator line. That's a shared line by multiple people within our department. We do have some balance transfers that we will have going forward as that line is charged off to our preschool, and mid-year through, I do a balance transfer for that line to the cost of $25,000 to support our preschool program. But at this time, I'd like to welcome any questions about our specific lines before we turn over to our agencies.
Well, I'd actually just like to clarify something. When Leanne started, she said they're not asking for any new positions this year. But if you look in your budget book, you'll see a big increase in clerical salaries. That's because in over 25-26 adopted budget, that's because during 25-26, when the Planning and Zoning Department and Building Department merged, there was that freed up a person in from the Building Department, and they transferred that person's position to Human Services. So you do actually have a new position in 25-26.
We are massively grateful for that gift of that position. The person has been a huge asset to the department. We did not have an administrative assistant or much clerical support. We only have a receptionist that answers the phone. So to have an actual administrative assistant, clerical support person has been life-changing for us. So we are grateful for that.
Okay, Leanne, before we go down the line by line, in your write-up under Youth and Family Services, you were talking about Cooking Matters.
Yes.
Where's that program?
We actually hold that program right at the middle school or at Stonington High School. So we hold it in a certified kitchen and have somebody from the school present at that time as well, because we have to when we're using those kitchen spaces. But that program's been phenomenal. It just has a lot of lessons about healthy eating, preparing your own food, after-school snacks, and then we invite families at the end of the program come in for a dinner that the kids prepare.
Okay, thanks. Okay, I think we're starting on page 110, is that?
Correct.
I went through a number of big sheets. I think I got them right. So I just want to go down the line, so, there's salaries in here, so anybody have any questions on any of the,
I just have a quick question on the narrative, Leanne. Under the community outreach, you list 727 over the last 4 years.
Yes.
What's the trend line there? Are you seeing that be relatively flat or increasing over
So
time?
I believe we were about at 600 last year, and we've
Okay.
been increasing pretty steadily at 100 new referrals a year. So these are unique referrals.
Right.
So we always do the unduplicated versus duplicated numbers. This is an unduplicated account.
Understood, thank you.
You're welcome.
anybody else on the narrative?
I really appreciate it. This was a great overview. I was particularly happy, athletics, that I remember when we did the fields committee, we thought we needed, at that time Bill was with us, we thought we needed 2 or 3 more fields almost 10 years ago. And I'm really happy that you're doing something with Old Mystic too. It's been sitting there, it's a great resource and you're taking advantage of it. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else on the narrative? All right, so let's just, is there any questions about the Human Services Director's salary line or any of the salary lines? Okay, moving on. Anything on?
Actually, Bill, I
Yep,
do have a question. Line number 3, Youth and Family Services Administrator. Just wondering why I'm reading this correctly, why there was a little bit higher increase in that position.
That's a spa position, Dave. So any contract questions, I would actually direct to administrative services. They all follow different steps, and I know the contract had renewed, so that would be specific for a spa position. So when we're looking at the social services administrator, youth and family services, as well as recreation, those are all spa positions within the town.
What are those positions? I'm not sure what I understand.
They're administrators for each division. So the department has the four divisions: social services, youth and family, recreation, and senior services. Senior services does not have its own division administrator. It's more shared with the social services administrator. But those are positions that fall under the director of human services. The administrator basically manage those divisions. So basically that administrator position is responsible for everything from after-school programs to youth and families in crisis, the juvenile review board, Stonington Prevention Council, and our preschool program.
Well, Dave, I think to answer your question, if I understand it correctly, all the union positions, their salaries are going to be all over the place because the last Director of Human Admin Services did a study of all the positions in the spa union, clerical union, and I think even Public Works. So, and she rejiggered the whole pay scale. So, some people might be getting 5% in those unions. Some might get 14%. They're all numbers are all over the place, but they're accurate.
This is a union position.
Pardon?
This is a union
It's
position.
That's a
through
union
spa.
position, yeah.
So the contract drives the salaries, what you're
That's
saying?
right.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're going to see throughout the budget, they're not going to be uniform increases.
No, from my standpoint, I think Dave was wondering is what's driving it. What's driving it is a contract.
Yes, yeah. After they reviewed all positions and the actual work that these people do.
Who's they?
The Director of Administrative Services.
This
He
wasn't
did a
something we
salary
put in
study.
for, this wasn't a merit increase that was requested or that I moved forward. It was something that happened with the beginning.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, David?
Yes.
Any questions on any of the, anything in this block of it's basically supplies?
Any overages that we have will be transferred over for program revenue to account for any overages that exist right now. Our utilities line under recreation always exceeds what we ask for from the Board of Finance, but we're fully prepared to use program revenue that comes in for recreation for the tennis program, for instance, or a basketball program to cover the cost of the lights being on, so that's why you'll see that.
Just to get another, on number 8, line number 8, community outreach specialist. Is that another, same situation? Is that a union job?
That position was accepted into the union, and that's what I was just referring to for Deanna Rushlow for the community outreach program. The position was just formed 4 years ago.
So we have all these different unions.
They are all under the SPA union, the Professional Administrators Association. And then we do have one position or two positions that fall within the clerical union, our administrative assistant, which was just added this year, and our receptionist.
But we always had, so many union.
Yeah, we have public works, Dave, then police, then the professional services, then clerical, so the 4.
Well, I know the police, and I wasn't aware of this one. Okay, thanks.
Anything more on that block, David?
No.
Okay. Anybody else on this page, anything? Go to page 111. So recreation, again, salaries, and then you're going to see similar increases. Supplies. So, everybody all set on that? We can go to the libraries. Any questions about the libraries? They're all coming in at a 3%
They're here too, if they want.
increase. Yep.
I think we do have some representation from the libraries. I will jump in for those that aren't represented
Anybody from the
tonight.
libraries wants to speak, come up to the table.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before you go,
Leanne?
Yeah.
yeah,
One more here.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank you for the presentation, it was excellent. And as you know, there are big changes coming from Washington, which will have a huge impact and probably are already having a huge impact on the state. You're close to the ground. What do you foresee in the next year or two in terms of potential needs that the town will need to step in?
It's really overwhelming to look at the big picture of what's happening. The heating assistance program, for example, the LIHEAP program, low income heating assistance program that supports the energy assistance program we do through TBCC each year, helps with deliverable fuel as well as utilities. That program was cut federally. It's gone. It does not exist. That program helps a few hundred households in Stonington alone, culminating of $1,500 to $2,000 for oil, for instance, per season. It's not something the town can sustain. At this time, we're paying close attention to what's going on with the state, and the state is making some contingencies and possibly continuing to fund the program in certain ways, not to the level that it was currently funded at. But it's very challenging to think about how we will fill these gaps because it's impossible for towns to support that. As far as the food insecurity and the SNAP program, we do a really good job of partnering with our Pawcatuck Neighborhood Center and United Way. When there was initially a pause on food stamps, we kind of put out to the community a call for gift cards, and we were seeing gift cards flooding in to help people. And we would vet the people out that would be in need, make sure they were approved for SNAP benefits, and offset that cost. But again, we can't help, for instance, a single dad with a 12-year-old child gets $460 a month. How do we make that up? We can't. We can't make it up. So we're paying close attention to the state. We are, as a town, involved with the Connecticut Local Action of Social Services Administrators. on a state level, so we all kind of get together as social services providers to try and brainstorm what we can do. But there's so much kind of up in the air information right now that it's hard for us to say what our next steps are going to be going forward. But what we are doing is paying attention, and we're being very diligent on what's coming down the pipeline, and also watching what the state's response is and what they'll be able to help with. And then we'll go from there. And really, like I said, we live in a very generous community, but no amount of generosity could match what these programs are currently providing. So we will keep you posted as we hear of different cuts that take place, and after the presentation going forward into the next fiscal year, if we need to be looking at some of the assistance programs that we are providing. Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you for your work. It's really meaningful and important. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you.
Okay, libraries. If you want folks to take a seat if you want.
Excuse me, those of you representing outside agencies, I've asked that you sit down, announce your name clearly and the organization you represent. Name your position. Thank you.
Okay, who wants to go first?
I think we'll all present together. So I am Michaela Hall. I am the director of Stonington Free Library, and I'm also joined by my colleagues from Mystic and No Ink and Westerly Library. I want to start by thanking you all for your continued support of all three libraries. This year we are asking for a 3% funding increase. I wanted to call to your attention first, it's in the folder that I just handed out. This is a chart that we created several years ago when the Board of Finance created the Library Task Force. That task force kind of looked at what the libraries provide to the community and also all of our funding situations. I apologize, I did not have time to update it with 2026 numbers thanks to the weather this week, but 2025 numbers are there, and I can assure you that any change is really nominal. And you will see that in terms of municipal funding support in the region, Stonington is really, really low compared to others in municipal funding for libraries. Another reason we are asking for a 3% funding increase is our ebooks and our digital library materials. So publishers charge libraries 6 to 10 times more than they do consumers for the exact same ebook. And they also put restrictive licenses on these ebooks. So what that means is that we have to decide either every 1 to 2 years or after a certain number of checkouts if we want to repurchase the same ebook over and over again to have it in our digital library collection. So kind of an example I like to give is the Harry Potter series. So purchasing that as an ebook, the whole series, costs us about $175 every 2 years, whereas if we were to buy a physical copy of all the books in the series, it's like $50, and we can keep it in our collection indefinitely. And I know that this year at Stonington Free Library, so for the first time in 2025, our digital library spending actually surpassed our physical library spending, and this was for the first time. And I know that this ebook, both cost and demand, is a situation that all three libraries are dealing with, and even on a nationwide level, this is an issue for public libraries throughout the nation. Another thing that has come up recently, unfortunately, is that the governor's budget is looking at a 20% cut to a Connecticut State Library program called Borrow It Connecticut. So what Borrow It Connecticut does is it allows any resident in Connecticut with their hometown library card to come to any public library in the state and use their card to check out materials. There is also a delivery service that runs statewide that gets these materials to the correct library. So this would be really big for that program. So I have a chart in that folder that I gave you showing that for Stonington Free Library, we save annually an estimated $273,000 thanks to this program. So a 20% cut there, we're looking at like $54,000 in cuts, which is huge to us. And I know that this would have a great impact on Mystic and Noank Library as well, if this were to go through. That's it from me. I don't know if anyone else has any points they wanted to add. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, swap seats. Yeah, let's just do that. Good plan.
I'm Bill Ensalado. I'm the Assistant Director at Westerly Library in Wilcox Park. Brigitte Hopkins, the Executive Director, apologizes. She's very sick right now and cannot come, so she would be able to speak anyway. First, I'd like to thank the Board of Finance, Town Selectmen, and Stonington residents for their past support of Westerly Library in Wilcox Park. Stonington is gifted with 3 beautiful libraries that provide its residents with invaluable resources, services, and programs to live a life of continuous learning, entertainment, and community. We know that most Stonington residents recognize our value. In addition to the efforts to provide library materials, particularly e-materials, with rising costs and funding cuts, we need to maintain great staffing. We compete with other libraries, both inside and outside of our region, to fill library positions. And we compete with for-profits to fill our support staff. Our staff deserve adequate compensation for all they do to help us provide for our community members. And they are one of the main reasons people enjoy coming to our library and park. Without them, we wouldn't be able to provide reliable access to information and entertainment, help people find books and other resources, facilitate the love of reading and learning, help people find work, provide research and reference assistance, create programs for children, seniors, and other groups, and provide the necessary maintenance to upkeep all the spaces that house all of the above. And without adequate compensation and benefits, we cannot keep or find good staff. For fiscal year 27, all 3 libraries are asking for a 3% increase. That's an additional $3,828 for Westerly, a combined total of $14,324. This is a small ask with a huge impact. Year over year, we have worked to maintain our services and resources and staffing, and we love what we do and what we can offer our community. Your support shows that you recognize that and understand our value. Thank you.
I'd like to speak. My name is Mary Fitzgerald, and I am on the Finance Committee on the Board of Trustees of the Mystic Noank Library, but I'm also speaking as a business owner in Stonington. I'm the president and owner of Acme Wire Products in Mystic, and I'm also one of the owners of Planeta Properties, on which the property stands. As a member of the Finance Committee of the Mystic Noank Library and a patron of the library, I'd like to say that the library provides a lot of services to Stonington residents. In looking at our population at Acme Wire Products, 28% of our employees are members of either Stonington, Pawcatuck, Westerly, or Groton. And they use all the facilities that this town offers. And I'm very grateful for all of the services that Stonington offers. A 3% increase is very modest. As a business owner, I'm looking at costs all the time, and just the labor costs are going up dramatically. The state of Connecticut implements a minimum wage increase every year that's really taxing all of us, from private to public entities. So I'd like to echo everything that's been said here today, and I urge you to consider the increase that the libraries are looking for.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to clarify, Michaela, on the great chart you had from the beginning, just wanted to be sure everybody was aware that I also had it right. When you say we're 58% below the average and you give our average of like 20, just under 26 versus the 61, that's for all 3 of the libraries combined, right?
Yes.
So that's not just your funding.
Yes, yep, and that is looking at all of these libraries, yep, all 3.
Thank you.
So Westerly, and it even has, I think, the Historic Stonington has lowered, so I just took the total for all libraries. In the
So
Stonington
really low.
budget. So the little bit that you have for
Thank
the
you.
Millworth Library as well.
I have a question. Your endowments, I know you all have endowments. How have they been doing?
They've been doing well. Ours, I know, looking at this year compared to last year, we are up about $700,000 on our endowment compared to
I
this
thought
last
probably
year.
doing well. I didn't see this anywhere. Are you about 4% that you take out of your endowment?
Yep, we draw 4%. That's the finance policy at the Stonington Free Library. I'm not sure about the other.
We're 5% at the Mystic and Noack Library.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about, because everything has been going so well, the markets and so forth, I don't know how you're investing the money. I'm sure you have somebody doing it for you. You ever thought about taking, maybe another % out of your endowment to cover some of these things?
Our finance committee looks at it, at least once a year, but at this time, they think where we're at is really good for what we're taking and then continue growth for the future. And we have financial advisors too that feel that we're in a good
Yeah, we have
place.
to ask this question every year. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Was there somebody else who wanted to speak, or you guys all set?
We're all set.
Any questions
This is excellent, and thank you very much. And you fulfill an
You can-
absolutely.
Well, does the board have any
Dave, if you want to
questions
speak,
for
go
the-
ahead.
Yeah, hi, I'm David Snedeker, and I
Yeah,
too am
talk
a
to the
trustee.
microphone.
Hello, David Snedeker, I too am a trustee of Mystic and Noack Library and on the Finance Committee. And I just wanted to point out that our library budget is basically divided into thirds. The assistance received from the town of Groton and the town of Stonington is 1/3. 1/3 is taken from the endowment to fund yearly operations, and the other third is raised through fundraising activities that the library participates in all year. So we're working hard to make the other half, the other third of our budget every year, just so you're aware of that.
And that's,
Thanks.
that's the same exact situation at Stonington Free Library as well.
Okay, so David,
Yeah,
basically Stonington contributes to 6, is that?
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah, a little less than a
Right,
sixth. I
so
think
that's
the
another
funding's a little
20%.
higher from Groton.
Groton contributes the same amount we contribute?
No,
No, more.
Or they contribute?
it's on the sheet. I think it's 180 from Groton and 124 from you guys.
I think it's like 60/40.
Yeah.
No, that was helpful, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from members of the board for the
One
library?
request, just because you brought it up, and for, I guess, all the outside agencies, I don't know if these are working at all, but if there's other things coming up this year with the state budget or bills that you want us to be aware of, just let us know, because sometimes it helps to get testimony. So like this impact would definitely impact our budget, so if you let us know, we could potentially write letters.
Thank you. I know they just had the hearing just earlier this month, and we haven't really heard anything so far, but we'll let you know if it comes up again. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to ask everyone to speak louder. I don't think the microphones are working.
They're not. The speakers is what is the issue. They're on. I don't know what's going on with the
Okay.
speakers.
Mike, do you have any questions?
Nope.
Gene?
Thank you very much.
Well, I just want to thank you. Everybody's doing a great job. And I particularly want to thank putting together the spreadsheet, because it's always helpful to have comparisons with peer organizations.
Thank you, and I will try to update it very soon with 2026 and send it to you.
Okay, the sooner you can get it to us, the better.
Yes, I will. We were this week through a software letter. Thank you.
I'm fine, thank you very
Well,
much.
you all set?
Thank you.
Danielle?
I'm good, thank you.
Chris?
All set.
David? Okay. All right, thanks, folks.
I actually do have a statement from Historic Stonington. Liz would not be here tonight.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Staffing, but I just wanted to read a quick statement from her. Historic Stonington is not requesting any increase in funding from the town in this year's budget. Our library and museums are great resources for Stonington's residents, educators, and visitors. We provide resources, curriculum, field trips, educational outreach, events, and park-like grounds to all residents without any charge. In addition, this year, we are leading a townwide effort that celebrates America 250 and are collaborating with a broad cross-section of the community, including Chambers of Commerce, the Community Center, LaGrua Center, public schools, veterans groups, and others. The support of the town is critical and is often used to leverage additional funding and grants that sustain the properties and the programs that we offer. Thank you.
Leanne, just to check, the information we have says that they have requesting a 20% decrease?
Yes. So the 8,000, the amount they're requesting this year is their standard amount. Last year, they had incorporated a special project in. It was a one-time ask.
Okay.
You'll also see that, before you move on, I have two things I just wanted to address. Well, three actually. Child and Family Agency was not included with our original ask. It's a $10,000 ask from Child and Family Agency. I've included it in my presentation. It's not on the spreadsheet yet, so I asked if you could add that in. It is included in my presentation as the last agency listed on the outside agency section, and that was a $10,000 request that was coming in. And there's two other amendments. Would you like me to make them now or when the agencies come up?
Go ahead.
Okay.
But before you leave this one,
The TVCCA.
before you go on, this organization, the first organization we're talking about, what is it and what do they do?
Child and Family Agency. They're a behavioral health clinic. They offer mental health counseling for youth and families in Stonington. They have a school-based health center as well as a local agency that's in the plaza on South Broad Street where Renegade Fitness is in Walgreens. It was the agency I referenced in my presentation that we refer people to that have children in need of counseling instead of accepting them into our services. Very strong partner of ours, and they've received some significant state funding cuts, which is potentially going to close some of their offices and offerings in Stonington, which would be really devastating for our community. They were requesting a municipal contribution of $10,000. They did come in with a one-page ask letter, which has been uploaded to the Google Doc drive that Jim passed along this afternoon, and it details some of their numbers. I can drill down a little bit further should you have questions after tonight about Stonington numbers in general.
Okay, thanks. All right. You want to-
The second amendment was the TVCCA request. It has been increased to 16,902. It is correct in my presentation, but it has not yet been amended on the spreadsheet. No fault to Jim. I just sent it to him today. And that's specific for the Meals on Wheels program.
Okay, so increase to what?
16,902.
And
The last amendment that I have is for the Denison Pequot Seacoast Nature Center. It's a decrease to $10,000. They had an additional $2,000 in last fiscal year for their preschool program. They are not asking for that this year. I had auto-populated the request when I was doing my entries, and that needs to be decreased to $8,000. And if possible, I'd also like to request if they could go next in line, as the director has a different obligation today, so sharing her time with us. If they can't, then she can leave her statement with us, but if they could go, that would be great.
no, that's fine.
Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
I'm sorry, there's water dripping from the ceiling.
Oh, don't touch anything electric.
Yeah, I think something bad is going on there. Yeah.
Roof leak.
All right, thank you to everybody for letting me skip the line. I just have a surgery scheduled for early tomorrow morning, so. My name is Kim Hargrave, and I'm the Executive Director at the Denison Pequot Seacoast Nature Center. And I'd like to begin by expressing our sincere gratitude for the town of Stonington's continued support, and just give a quick update on what we use these funds, what these funds help us to do. In 2025, the Craig Floyd Giving Garden, which is located on our Coogan Farm campus, grew over 9,000 pounds of produce. Last year's harvest included over 28 heads of garlic, more than 1,000 pounds of baby watermelon, hundreds of heads of lettuce along with celery, basil, fruits, tomatoes, zucchini, and much more. All of this produce is donated to the United Way's Gemma Moran Food Center and then is distributed through the Mobile Food Pantry, which serves Stonington and our surrounding communities. Our animal care team serves the broader community here in Stonington by rehabilitating injured wildlife. Last year alone, we took in more than 200 injured animals and answered over 750 calls about wildlife in distress, including birds of prey and other native species here in Stonington. So when someone finds the hawk that was hit by a car on Route 1 the other day, they give us a call and we go out to help get that bird. Turtles that get hit come to the nature center as well. So at the same time we're dealing with the rehabilitation side, we actually have more than 25 resident birds of prey at the nature center that are all non-releasable, and we are working really hard to protect them right now in the face of avian influenza, which you might be familiar with poultry and things like that. However, it gets spread through our area as birds migrate through, and so we've had to implement all sorts of biosecurity methods around our birds of prey. Currently, DPNC, in addition to the birds of prey, cares for over 75 resident animals, all with a unique story. In addition to those things, in 2025, DPNC provided environmental education programming for more than 29,000 people, and this includes students from West Vine Street School, where we see every single kindergarten, first, second, and third grader and fifth grader there. We also see students from Deans Mill Elementary, Stonington Middle, and some of our private schools such as St. Michael's and Pine Point. All of our programs are hands-on, science-based, and are rooted in the local community. We really believe in teaching children about the natural world right here in Stonington, fostering not only knowledge, but stewardship and curiosity about their local things that can last a lifetime for them. Beyond our school programs, we do have our after-school and summer program, Neighbors in Nature, that supports working families every day. We serve students from Deans Mill, West Vine, and other local schools before and after school every day, as well as during school holidays and throughout the summer with a program that runs from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. In addition to that, we are expanding our nature-based preschool next year to include full-day options to help more of our working families. So DPNC is a community resource in another very tangible way. We have more than 10 miles of trails that cross 350 acres that are open to the public year-round. Every day, Stonington residents are on those trails, usually hiking, lately cross-country skiing, and these preserved open spaces contribute to the health and the well-being and quality of life that makes Stonington such a special place to live and work. We're really deeply grateful for your past support and ask for continued funding so we can keep serving our local community. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck tomorrow.
Okay, so I guess first go back up to the top. Dorset Westerly, anybody?
Corey could not be here tonight. The director is Snowden, Massachusetts, and so thank you for the support. They are requesting level funding.
Right, this goes towards the summer pops? Yeah.
And after school program.
Okay. Public health and nursing? Not here. Pawcatuck Neighborhood Center here? Pawcatuck Neighborhood Center is here.
Hi, good evening. I'm Susan Sadensky, the Executive Director at the Pawcatuck Neighborhood Center. We are asking for level funding of $218,000. This is split up into 4 different programs that you have in front of you. So the first program, we're asking for $106,000 for our human services programs. Last year, 1,046 Stonington residents used our human services program, which included weekly access to our food pantry, diapers, hygiene items, and pet food. More than half of those recipients were children and seniors. We distributed $1.1 million worth of food 269 Stonington children participated in the Weekender Backpack Program. 208 Stonington children received gift cards at Christmas. 75 Stonington families received heating utilities assistance in the amount of $72,000. Leanne was talking about the cuts in heating assistance. Because we are a nonprofit, when the heating was cut, we do go on social media and we make that known, and we notice that we get restricted grants for that purpose. We have never had to turn anyone away who needed heating assistance. We have a fund where we help people. In addition to that, from our own fund, we have a caseworker who helps people with TVCA funding assistance, Operation Fuel, and then United Way. So we use all different avenues to get them their heating assistance, and then if they still need, another 100 gallons of oil, we get that to them the next day, usually, by working with our partners. We gave out school supplies, and this funding also supports our PNC van and driver, who delivers food weekly to Stonington Arms and Brookside's housing complexes. We had some new programs this year under this title. We partnered with Stonington High School and we established Bear Bites Food Pantry last year. We fund that food and we deliver it every week to them. We also work with West Vine School social workers, and we provide school supplies, clothing, gift cards, food, anything that the children need. The social workers come over and we get that for them. We do have a thrift store, but we give out free food 5 days a week. Free clothing 5 days a week. We also became an official state of Connecticut SNAP provider. So that means that if someone's having trouble with their SNAP benefits, they can go to our caseworker, and through DSS, she's able to help them with that. So we all know that when everyone got concerned about SNAP, we then saw an increase of people coming into the food pantry saying, I've never been to a food pantry before, how does it work? The way that it works is people just tell us they need food, and they get enough food for the week that day. As far as numbers go, interestingly, we have over 1,000 folks who use our food pantry from Stonington, but that is down from last year. So as Leanne said, it's fluid. Different people come and use it as they need it, and these are seniors and children. Also, the Veterans Coffee Hour was a program that was cut by the federal government. So then when that happened, it never stopped at the PNC. We had a staff member take it over, and we provided for that food. So we've been able, through the generosity of Stonington residents and the Finance Board, to continue anything that was cut this year. The $63,000 that we're asking for goes to our senior transportation program. 100 Stonington residents over age 54 received more than 2,500 door-to-door rides. We have a PNC passenger handicapped accessible bus and a minivan. $4,000 is for neighborhood services. So twice a month we have a community breakfast where about 100 people come, and the Pawcatuck Lions provide the labor, and we provide $7,200 for the cost of the breakfast. So thank you for providing half of that. The $45,000 that we're requesting is for our senior center programs. 349 Stonington senior citizens participated in all of our free programs at the PNC. We have free lunch 4 times a week. We have group fitness classes, which are described in your paper. We have a bi-monthly foot clinic by the VNA. We have Meet the Geek individual group and computer assistance. Meals and Wheels goes up to 53 Stonington residents. And we have 150 Stonington residents who volunteer at the PNC. So that's how they, some of them, that's the only way that they use the senior center. I will say that a new program is every Thursday we have a speaker series where we have medical and legal professionals and the police who talk about scams. We have a party once a month, and we have museums and historic Stonington. And we use all of our local resources to have those speakers come and talk about topics that are interesting to seniors.
Okay. Paul?
On your, thank you, by the way, thank you very much. On the bear bites,
Right.
what's the reasoning for that versus going to the Pawtucket Neighborhood Center, or is this specifically for kids?
Yes, that's a good question. So what we have specifically for kids is we have something called the Weekender Backpack Program. So every Friday, parents can come and get food for the weekend that's really more kid-friendly. And what was happening was we had Stonington High kids, especially the kids that are staying after school, who are there very long days. The teachers were bringing in food for the kids. And so I ended up speaking with someone over there, and I said, what if we put a food pantry in the high school? And so we started bringing food over in the van. It's a van load full of food every week, and we pay
So
for
the
it.
kids who are getting food assistance during the week, this covers those other 2 days? Is that the thought?
No, this is a new, we started a food pantry at Stonington High School, and in addition, people have access to the PNC food pantry 5 days a week, and then we have a second program only on Fridays that's kid-friendly food. It's about 100 pounds of food that the kids get.
Westerly, you still not able to get them to cough up a little bit more money?
No, but what we did was, well, they, as you know, they only give $12,000.
Yeah, I know, it's good.
It is. But
Considering how many people from
they,
Westerly use it.
I agree. They do, Stonington residents can use a food pantry every week. Westerly residents can use it once a month. They do have other food pantries that they can go to, so it makes perfect sense. And so if you look at, if we gave out $1.1 million worth of food, I would say about 20% of that went to Westerly and 80% of that went to Stonington, and a small number to North Stonington too.
Do you make a pitch to the council over there?
We make our pitch I do.
I figured you did.
I really do.
What is their reasoning for not wanting to give any more?
Well, they only give Johnny Cake 30,000, and they consider that their primary food pantry.
Yeah.
So I think they feel like, I don't think, so they feel like Johnny Cake's their primary, although Johnny Cake only gives out once a month as well. And then you have RICAN, they give a little money to them. They have St. Vincent de Paul, they give a little money to them. They kind of spread it out, and
How do you manage to not ask us for more money every year? State level funding, how do you do that?
Well, we have 8 employees, we have 150 volunteers. When we have our speaker series, we find people who will come for free. We're very frugal. And
I commend you for doing this.
Thank you, we try. And we're very fortunate that we can ask donors, and our community is amazing. And you know, when the SNAP thing happened, we don't usually put on social media that we need food every day, but we were, and people were just coming. It could bring tears to your eyes to see how generous people are. People are amazing.
We have a very
This town
generous
is amazing. This town is amazing.
I want to get at that point a little bit. The $1 million worth of food is coming to you as donations from,
No,
or where's
no.
that coming from?
So we buy a lot of that food. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a big misconception. We buy a lot of that food. So we have milk delivered from a dairy every week. We buy from U.S. Foods, vegetables and fruit, so we have enough of it. We do get donations from Gemma Moran Food Pantry, and we have a tractor trailer truck full of food come from Connecticut Food Bank every week, both of those. But we also buy from the food pantries. So we buy a lot of that food.
Okay, so you're getting, where's the money coming from besides us?
Besides you, donations.
So there's tremendous public support out there.
Yeah, so we apply for grants, and we have donations, and we occasionally have fundraisers, but it's primarily our annual appeal and grants.
Okay, thank you. Since you're here, and you have a CIP request, if you guys are all, anybody have any questions on, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So,
Do you want to talk to us about the parking lot?
yes, so with the success of everyone coming into the PNC, you know, I think that I think that people tend to think of us as a food pantry, but we are the town senior center. And so we have had a problem with parking. We only have 48 parking spaces. You know, we're at a dead end, so there's only one way in and one way out. We had Sharenzia come and do 2 different plans for us. It would cost $290,400, but we would get 23 more parking spaces. And I do have 157 letters from residents who just come to the PNC, and when they came to the desk, I asked them, you know, tell us about parking, and they're saying things like, I had to drive away without food, I had to drive away and I could not donate. I want to go to yoga, but that's really important to me because that's how I have my socialization. I mean, part of what we want to do for seniors is to decrease loneliness. And it's funny because in the middle of our building is this thrift store that we have, and people tend to kind of go there and go to yoga, go to the thrift store, maybe go to the Veterans Coffee Hour. We don't want to have to push people out and say, we have another class right now, you have to move on. So it's a beautiful community center. It's not as flashy as Groton, it's not a Taj Mahal, but there's a lot of heart there, and we want people to continue to come in. We don't want to have to start decreasing the programs that we've built up.
Where would it go? It's not where the garden usually is.
It's going to push up into the garden, but then we're going to push the garden back. And the garden brought in 2,000 pounds of vegetables, but as I explained, we buy much more than that. So, and what we actually plan to do is we hope that there'll be more people, seniors, being able to use that garden. So it's more of a community garden.
Anyone questions?
Do you think the 23 spots will get you to where you need to be?
I've been thinking about that. I think it's a good start. The other alternative is, there's 2 different plans, but that's like the best start. That's the only way I can answer that.
Well, to follow up on Jean, what ideally would you want? What's your master plan?
Oh, well, that's the master plan, because we also don't want to take the beautiful garden in the space and make it be all concrete. So we're trying to keep a little of the beauty of the building, and so that is the plan, is the 23 spaces.
Okay, all right.
Can you share a little bit about your timeline for the parking lot? Like the ideal timeline?
Well, the ideal timeline is as soon as possible, because we're actually, when we have our board meetings, we're talking about maybe asking the town to give us a spot to like have volunteers park and then have our van come pick them up, things like that. So as soon as possible, but we do know that we have to work with the town to have everything in place. This was kind of our starting point to see if we had the money.
Trying to get to like the funding question, so like if you need 300,000 completely to do this,
Yes.
like if, as the board sometimes does, like give you half, like would that then delay you an extra, like could you talk us through that kind of timeline, funding wise?
Well, if you gave us half, then I think it would be delayed. But we would go back to the board. I would go back to the board and see what we could do if we could find a way to raise the money. But if we had it now, we could start working, because we know that it's already going to take time just for this process to start.
You might be able to, Sergio or something, to just draft up like a high level timeline of like, if you got the approval, would you break ground July 1st in line with the fiscal year, and like, would you then break and for the winter and start again next spring, or how the different timelines might impact decisions here?
You're getting at the idea of funding over multiple
Just to know
years.
the options, like how it
Right.
impacts you, like, oh, this would be really challenging to have to wait over 2 years for X, Y, Z.
Can it be phased
Yeah.
in some way?
Right.
Yeah.
Danielle's not talking, I don't think Danielle's talking about the PNC finding half of it somewhere else. I think she's trying to get at, could we split an appropriation over 2 years? And what would the impact of that be on, obviously, if you need it now, you need it now.
Oh, well,
But how long?
honestly, if you saw these letters, we need it now. I mean, the people are saying things like, I'm 90 years old. It's hard for me to walk from Chase Street, where cars are, people are parking illegally. That's very dangerous if the fire department has to come. 2 weeks ago, we had a pipe burst, which doesn't normally happen, but it did happen. And we had fire trucks come. If cars are parked illegally, it's dangerous. We have children who are there on Fridays with their parents getting food, and then we have cars like circling around looking for a spot. It's quite chaotic. It really is.
Yeah.
And the most you can put in there is, based on your land, the most you can do is 23.
Yes, yeah, the 2 different ways we did it, it was 23. There's also something about water.
Sure. No, I trust that if you ask Sergio to design, to max out the number of spots you can get.
And he gave us 2 points.
Okay.
I've actually got a question for the first selectman on this. The Board of Selectmen added money to the budget for this above their initial request, I think. But the project is still labeled a C priority. Can you address that, or do you want to address that? Think about it and address it?
I think it was our, sort of looking at an analysis just in terms of the overall budget and a priority. And also, I think wanting to look at other options, like having DPW do it, and some more details on it, whether it has, I don't think it's, Susan, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't know that it's gone to planning and zoning yet.
No, it hasn't.
So, it's a little further along, or has a way to go in the approval process. For example, whether it needs to be pervious or impervious hasn't been addressed, things like that.
Okay, so.
And I think that's just back to the timeline thing, like if we could look at, has to go to P&Z, that might be 3 months, and then, getting materials, like anything that they can provide, I think will just help us with our decisions for how this gets considered. And maybe just for new members of the board, do you want to just share, or do you guys all know, like, the agreement we have with the PNC?
Why don't you
Do
guys?
you want to just?
Just that the agreement is that it's a town-owned property, as you know. We get it for $1, thank you, a year. We rent it, and that lease goes for like another, I'd say, 17 years. And so we pay for all the utilities and things like that. But the town does maintain it. So you plowed it during the snow. When the pipe burst, well, that was the fire department. The staff cleaned it up. But yeah, and then in 2000, it was built in 1987, and then in 2007, you added a senior center for $1 million. You got a grant, and so upstairs and downstairs is what we call the senior center in that building.
Yeah, Bill brought up my thoughts exactly. One is, what about the pavement? Can DPW do any of it, even part of it? Would a different surface be less expensive, make more sense? Maybe part of it could be gravel. I know we don't want 90-year-old people walking on gravel, but possibly it could be an employee lot or something that would allow us to phase it in, where you could have parking and then phase it in or not. I mean, I don't know, it sounds like there's still some more things.
We did look into all that, gravel, and having it be a parking, employee lot in the back. That's why it went around, but then that was moving more land, so that's why we went back to this one of pushing through the garden. We were trying to save the garden, actually.
All right, so you guys have more planning to do.
There is
I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Susan.
All right, back to
Como?
Como.
Started feeling this high. Hello, good evening. My name is Matthew Haugen. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Stonington Como. I'm with
Liz Theodore, our Chief of Operations. Just a quick disclaimer, I do have my phone here, and if it does ding, my wife is due very soon, so if you don't see me in future meetings, you'll know why. So just want to quick disclaimer. First of all, we're extremely grateful for y'all's service to the community, and to the town's ongoing partnership. And this year, we respectfully request $94,603, 7.5% increase for the upcoming fiscal year. The COMO is now in its 81st year and is committed to providing accessible, high-quality youth and family programming that supports education, enrichment, community engagement, in collaboration with the town, and as an extension of human services. Each year, the COMO serves the Stonington community through a broad range of programming, including youth and arts, pottery, athletics, before and after school care, summer camp, our nationally accredited preschool program, of which only 8% nationally have this NIAC accreditation. These programs not only enrich the lives of Stonington families, but also provide critical support to working parents and complement the town's educational and youth development goals. We remain committed to a strong fiscal stewardship and fundraising. The upcoming year obviously presents several significant challenges. The Como Thrift Shop, our annex building, which serves as a major fundraising arm to our organization, as well as the Pottery Studio, which was recently moved over into that building, are at risk due to the CTDOT proposed Frank Turk viaduct project. Obviously, we're in a holding pattern, but we know this is in the very foreseeable future and a problem that we will have to address very soon. At the same time, we face obviously increased operating costs, contractors, insurance costs continuing to rise, and most importantly, providing competitive wages that are necessary to recruit and retain our qualified staff, obviously in the challenging labor market. We're very lucky at Como to have a dedicated staff of directors. Liz, who's been here more than 10 years, Director of Education, 12, Director of Advancement, 7, Director of Athletics, more than 5 years. And these are a staple of our community and provide services. We want to keep them there. It allows us to continue to provide really high quality services to the town and to our taxpayers. So, even though we have these financial pressures ahead of us, the Como continues to actively fundraise through our grants, through individual donations, and continued growth and revenue through the expansion of our services throughout our many departments, athletics, thrift, pottery, and preschool, of course. Ultimately, our goal is to maintain affordability. Could we raise preschool tuitions because we were a nationally accredited preschool? Yes. Do we want to? No. Rising educational costs for early childhood ed for many young families is anywhere between $14,000 and $20,000. It's a huge expense. We are making sure that we stay on the lower end of that and continue to provide really quality services while maintaining an amazing staff. So this is really our main goal, our main objective is to continue ensuring that we provide great community services and just to continue to piggyback on what we do. We are a community service partner. We are a supporter. We want to collaborate with other nonprofits, with local business owners to continue to make sure that we drive economic impact, not only for our organization, but for our other nonprofit partners and small business owners. And so these partnerships are really staple of what we do and create a community of civic engagement that really strengthens the bonds that we all share here within Stonington and Pawcatuck and beyond, Mystic, etc. We serve a range of constituents from the ages of 3 to 83. We are honestly a cradle to grave type of organization. You walk in, you will find something to do with Tacoma and the service that we provide. We have over 38 full-time and part-time employees. We continue to add staff. We have added staff in each of our departments. In addition to maintaining the directors that we have, we are continuing to expand services, and without additional staff to help our different departments, that would not be possible. So we have added staff in our thrift. We have added staff within our athletics department. We've added staff within our preschool and education department as well. So we serve more than 500 families, 17,000 plus hours of supervised care for working families, and in partnership with Stonington Public Schools. And like I said, we are one of the only accredited preschools in the area. We actually received a grant to incorporate the CT Department of Labor apprenticeship program, of which the funds go directly to our most vulnerable staff, to make sure that we retain our preschool teachers. The money is literally gone right back into their pockets to make sure that we keep them there because we want that continuity for our families that come and continue to make sure that we have high quality services, and that starts with our staff and our teachers. The apprenticeship program will carry on for another year. We're looking for additional staffable funding soon, and we hope that we will be in line for that. But it basically provides credentials for these teachers to continue their growth in the field of early childhood education. And then the stackable apprenticeship program will allow additional education, for example, associates to be, an associate's degree to be earned, a bachelor's degree to be earned, and then through that we continue to promote their growth and well-being within that field, which is obviously a very pivotal field and one that is really hard to recruit quality teachers and keep. We continue, like I said, to focus on partnership. We want to provide niche and unique programming for the community. We don't want to duplicate or replicate what other nonprofit partners are doing. So we are very cognizant of how we can collaborate, how we can pull resources together to be frugal and to also continue to provide additional services and programs across the breadth of what we do. We are thinking, and I know that sometimes David brings up, we want to be fiscally responsible. We have looked at how our departments need to be scaled or changed, and a major component of that was unfortunately cutting our makerspace program, but putting our pottery program into a larger space, which was full with wait lists and provided really an amazing social avenue for continued growth, and we've seen a nice increase in participation in that studio. So we're always looking at what is working, what's not working. We're looking at maintaining an innovative approach and really serving the needs of the community within Stonington, Mystic, Groton, Westerly. Obviously, much fewer Westerly residents. Less than 10% of our participants come from that area. So we haven't reached out nor asked Westerly for much funding. The Stonington Borough does provide us funding. We will continue to ask for more funding there, especially as snow piles up on Owens' Field. We've donated that space to allow the snow removal for the borough to come in and place snow, as it's a monumental effort that we've seen over the last couple of weeks to really make sure people are safe and dugout. And if we can pitch in, we will do that. We're, like I said, community partnered with the town of Stonington and so many other nonprofits. So with that, this is why we continue to ask for additional funding. We have asked for close to 5% increase over the past 3 years since I've been in leadership there. We've fallen back on level funding, so this is why we look again for a 7.5% increase this year to really keep up with additional operating costs and make sure that our staff are taken care of and stay in Stonington.
Questions?
Just to state the obvious, can you hear me all right?
Sure.
My voice is going. This board faces many competing, all meritorious requests. If you get less than the 7.5% that you're asking for, and there's no question in my mind that you would put it to good use, but from our perspective, just juggling scarce resources, what would be the effect on your organization if you get less?
You know, we are very lucky, obviously, to have amazing community members and donors. You know, again, we will continue to scale and look at where we can be additionally fiscally responsible. You know, that is my job. That is, you know, Liz's job. You know, the effect. You know, we'll make it work. You know, we've been level funded the past 4 years. You know, again, you know, it's. I know it's a tough job, but ultimately, you know, a 7.5% increase, and what are we asking for? An additional $7,000. In the scheme of things, and the budget that you guys have is not huge. But I understand you guys are all working under scarcity and also have a responsibility to be fiscally responsible for the town.
Yes, it's not huge, like you say. When you take it, the whole thing, all of, all of the nonprofits that come to us and ask for money, it's almost $500,000.
Yeah.
All total. That's a lot of money.
It's also nice to see that a lot of the agencies have decreased their funding asks this year. So,
but you know, Gene said we can't. It would be great if we could fund every nonprofit, and but we just can't. Like we can't fund certain other things that are requested in the budget from certain various departments. It's impossible unless you want to have like a 2% increase in the mill rate, or it's a lot of money. So just lay that out there, and I'm sure you and all the other folks are aware of that. And we have to balance what we think the taxpayers can afford, and what the nonprofits and all the other departments in the town, what we can do to fund, keep the town going. At the same time, make sure that we don't price the taxpayers out of the town.
Matt, can I ask you one thing?
Sure.
I feel like you kind of touched on it, but I wanted to be sure I captured it. Were you kind of saying when you were talking about how you try and keep the costs low for the programs you offer, everything from the child care to the after school, would you say like the funding that Stonington provides helps offset the actual cost of some of those programs?
Definitely help offset some of the cost. You know, it all goes into a big bucket that we are, you know, really looking at and making sure that we're keeping the pennies in the pockets of you know, our people, and then our infrastructure. Obviously, you know, the operating cost, insurance costs has risen 16%. You know, for our general liability, so you know, up from 83 to almost $100,000 just in insurance this year. Yeah, an extra $7,000 would go a long way to help with that. I understand, you know, you guys have a tough job. You know, I'd like you guys to consider what you know, life would look like without the Como in Stonington. I also want you guys to understand that, you know, high quality childcare, racket sports, programs, events like this, not only are they socializing, galvanizing causes to bring people together, but they improve the quality of life. You improve the quality of life, you keep people in Stonington, you keep people who are paying taxes, and help continue raising what y'all can do within the Board of Finance. So what we do has huge tax implications for the town of Stonington as well.
I was in fundraising for 21 years, nonprofit fundraising, and I know how difficult it is to raise money. But I also know that you have to, you really have to, fundraising is so important. I know you and all the other people who come before us do a great job fundraising. You great programs. But again, it's just kind of a trade-off. I'm only one person. There's 7 of us. But, that's kind of where I'm coming from. I know how hard it is to raise money.
Yeah. And we continue to, make sure that we are providing, I would say fundraiser events. We're doing a lot more within our space. We're really making sure that we're opening the doors to the community center. We've hosted concerts. We are now 74 years with Como Village Fair, which is a free event. These are small little fundraising efforts, but I really consider them more fundraising efforts. You also have a lot of nonprofits that are asking multiple donors, and listen, I'm sure you guys all receive annual appeal requests from all the nonprofits here. So there are a lot of nonprofits, a lot of donors to spread around, but it also makes it a challenging environment to really pull together monumental fundraising events. And that's why the thrift store has been so important to us as a community center. It does act as a second fundraising arm to our organization. And we were really lucky to be in that location because it provides visibility. Our shoppers, we have a really robust following, and people do come and donate, and all of that money gets turned right back into the community center, again, investing in our people and investing in our infrastructure.
You have some great people on your board.
Yes.
I hope they're all contributing at the highest level possible.
Okay.
All right,
Come on. Oh, I'm sorry.
So I do want,
Forgive me.
I have, what's the viaduct project? Are you guys at risk of losing that entire building?
It depends on who you ask and what the plans are. They've said they might want to cut off a portion of it. They said they might want to get rid of the entire thing. So we had some nice negotiations ahead of the public town meeting. After that, we've kind of gone into radio silence. So we honestly don't know what the impact is going to be until we see new proposals and designs. But yes, anything is on the table, but we could also negotiate a win-win, and maybe we could, out of that $40 million that are proposed, get CTDOT to build us a brand new building. I'm not going to hold my breath on that one.
Let's take a look at your, you guys have a CIP request in.
Yes.
Yeah. So you want to talk to us about that a little bit?
Sure.
I read the write-up, but.
Yeah, so essentially, the SIP request is asking the town for $65,000 to put toward a new fire suppression system and hood that would bring our kitchen up to compliance. As you know, the kitchen is the heart of the home. I would say no different at the Como. It provides a place for our preschool to understand nutritional curriculum, as well as our Como kids to come in, cook there. It provides additional partnerships between Yellow Farmhouse to come in, use the space, and provide cooking classes for our youth. It allows us to do a lot of things, and if we're not up to code, we can't use what we have in our building. And I would like to use what we have to support the host of people who walk in through our doors.
So is there an old hood there now? I didn't quite understand. It's been a long time since I've been in that kitchen, so.
Yeah, so there's an exhaust fan. It's not a compliance. Yeah,
It's not a fire suppression.
And you've got I read the enforcement letter, and you guys must have had together, what's the status of that with the state in terms of, you must have had to ask for,
Yeah, so basically we've had to alter our programs. So for example, our adult cooking class, we've asked Chief Hoadley, what can we use and do within that kitchen? He said, you can't do anything that produces smoke or grease-laden vapors, which is pretty much almost everything except for boiling water. He did say we could continue to use the stove, but we've asked our contractor who provides those cooking classes to alter their menus to make sure that we are in compliance. But ultimately, it comes down to a safety issue. We want to make sure that the Como in that building is safe. We have a lot of young children in the building every single day. We want to make sure that they can use it to improve their intellectual growth and development. But we are limited in what we can use it for right now.
and what exactly are the programs that are impacted?
Sorry, say that again.
What programs are actually, what are the programs that you had in there that are impacted by this?
So right now, the youth cooking classes in partnership with Yellow Farmhouse, adult cooking classes. We've had the library come in and host Cook the Book within the kitchen. So again, this just shows the range of partnerships that kitchen is used for. Rentals come in and use the space and want to use the kitchen. The garden club comes in as well, and they bring fruits and vegetables from the garden into our facility. So it's 65 plus kids in our preschool every single day. 65 plus kids in our after school programs. It's these 4 different partnerships with local nonprofits that would all be impacted, that would either have to severely alter what they're doing in that space or not do it at all.
And your plan here is that it's also an income generator.
I would hope that, even if you guys do not provide us funding, that the payoff would be approximately 4 to 5 years with the classes that we currently have running. But again, these are just the 2 income running classes, revenue generating classes. There are a host of other free services that we provide within that kitchen. That if we didn't have it, couldn't use it.
One last question. Grant writing. Do you write any grants?
Yeah.
Grant writing? Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, we got a grant from Connecticut Office of Early Childhood Education for close to $180,000. This is something different. We will continue to look for grants to help offset. We're not asking for the full amount. Even my $75,000 price tag here is probably underrepresented and underestimated. Probably looking close to 87 to 100. So it's been hard to nail down the contractors to actually get them in the space because there are a lot of moving parts in that little nook, and people don't necessarily want to touch it. But I have great people on our board and in our facilities committee that are committed to making sure that it happens. And one way or another, we're going to keep the kitchen, and we would love your support in doing so.
Good. Anybody else? All set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Always home. Always home,
Is always on here?
from the beginning.
Yep. Okay.
Just have some things I'll pass out to you really quick, just because some of you might not be as familiar with us. Some of you are very familiar with us.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Tricia Cunningham. I'm the Executive Director for Always Home. And what I just passed to you is It's quite frankly a little children's book we put together. But we learned it really helps to encapsulate what we do very clearly and succinctly, and then there's a flyer. So that gives you an overview of what Always Home does. Our mission is preventing family homelessness, and what that means is we work with families with minor children throughout Eastern Connecticut, preventing them falling into homelessness. We also serve as a hub for the Coordinated Access Network, which is a statewide homelessness response system. And within Eastern Connecticut, we are a hub for families. You'll hear from David Horst, who is from Homeless Hospitality. They're a hub for individuals. So that's kind of in southeastern Connecticut and eastern Connecticut. That's one of our differentiators, is we work with the families with minor children. So we serve as a hub as well. So a few of the ways we work with families is we take a look at, Leanne kind of helped tee it off, because when a family comes to Always Home, we look at their budget, we look at their income, we look at their expense and figure out what's going on, that they're falling behind on their rent, and what has occurred in their life that we can help them stabilize, or is there some other situation going on that needs additional case management to, starting to look at other sources of income, other ways to help bridge that gap. One of the big things we're seeing is not news to you, is the incomes are not keeping on pace with expenses and rents in the area. That's one of the major issues that we're seeing across the board. We'll help with case management across all levels of what we do, and then we'll help with financial assistance in terms of past due rent or current rent, or at times a security deposit and a portion of that first month's rent if someone's getting into a new apartment. If a car falls into disrepair, we can assist with an emergency car repair. That is a really big deal that we're seeing in our region. Public transportation is a challenge, especially if you have families with children. That's another level that adds complexity to it. So to get around in our area, it really does help to have a car if you are a family. So at times, if your car falls into disrepair, you can't make it to work, and then you can't pay the rent. Childcare, we assist with childcare camps cost. It could also be just regular daycare. And yes, we do work closely with the other agencies in the area, Human Services and other towns, their Human Services. In fact, I was just talking to Kim for a moment before she had to leave about a scholarship she might have for some Groton families. So I'm like, okay, let's talk, because that's something that is a huge budget item. Last year, just to throw out a number to you, historically the child care summer camp costs weren't terribly extravagant for our overall budget. Typically we averaged around $8,000 to $10,000 annually on summer camps. Last year we ended up spending $24,000 when we budgeted $8,000. It was extraordinary. The need for summer camp as the month of June came up. So we budgeted more effectively going forward in that area. But it definitely caught us off guard this past year. But our board is extremely supportive and understands different things come at us from different angles, and we have to be ready to pivot. We will also assist if someone's looking to get a new license so that they can further their career and advance their income. We can assist with that as well. We're also always pushing people to other free resources as well. There's a lot of free resources throughout the state, so if we can push them towards that, we do. And if for some reason it doesn't work with scheduling or this, that, or the other thing, we can assist with that financial cost so that they can further their career, get a CNA license, etc. Our funding comes from an array of different areas. We are constantly going after many grants. I don't think there's a grant that hasn't been sought after by our grant writer. Family funds, our annual appeal is very aggressively sent out to the local community. And fundraising. We have a fundraiser this weekend, as a matter of fact, at Old Mystic Village. The Charity Charter Cook-Off is on Saturday. Come early because it's going to be beautiful and we will run out of chowder. And we also have a gala, so we do a broad range of fundraising. We do not receive any federal funding. And just to address the elephant in the room, we did look for an increase. And when you add it as a percentage, it looks extraordinary. It's a $7,000 going up to $8,000 request, but the percentage is very, very wild. It's like 14.3% increase is what it shows. Some of the reasons for that is we did add a new employee. We've seen our numbers go up dramatically over the years. About 4 or 5 years ago, let's say, we had an average of about 250 families that we dealt with over the course of the year. Last year, it was close to 500. This fiscal year, we already served over 300 families that need, and they each need one-on-one assistance. You know, it's not like, okay, send me your paperwork, okay, we write a check. There's intensive case management that goes on and looking at their full story, their full case, and seeing where we can help them. Some cases are more challenging than others, so it ebbs and flows. We also saw, just for anecdotal evaluation, 4 fiscal years ago, our direct client assistance that went out, so funds that went out to support clients directly, was a little over $100,000. This past year, it was well over $400,000. So that just shows you the dramatic jump that we're seeing, and that's across the board. That's in every town, that's in every family that we work with. We're seeing the average cost per family to support them goes up. So that's the ask for increase. So, and to answer your question before you ask it, would we be able to make do without it? We would find a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. We're not going to be a barrier of someone losing their house. So there's that. We'll find a way to make it happen. Let's see, did I answer all the questions that I think you're going to ask me? And did I tell you all the things I wanted to tell you? One little thing I want to share with you. I shared we work with the hub as a hub for the state. So what that means is when a call comes to us through 211, we're working with families that are 14 days from homelessness or literally homeless. And that's kind of the catch point for those particular families we're working with. When we divert them from homelessness with housing support, with a security deposit or first month's rent, that fund comes from a region-wide fund that we all pull from, all the hubs pull from. This past November, that fund was depleted. We, as a region, we had used up those resources, and there was no funding from November to December. And we have gone way over our budget in security deposit at Always Home, what we anticipated this year, because Always Home stepped in with our own funds that we would have normally been able to access state funds, right? For those families that we weren't able to until they were re-released and they come through. It's a whole system, it's a whole thing before they get released to us as the region to be able to access. But we were able to still support those families, and that was about $18,000 from November to December, just for those particular families in that area that were literally, one family was living. They came to us in April or May of last year. They were hoteling it. In the summer, they were tenting it, and then they were bouncing around until they finally found an apartment that they could afford, that they could sustain going forward, and that was like middle of November, and they would have lost it, but we were able to step in. So that's just a little bit about what we do and why we look to the town to help to support our efforts.
Everybody, one question?
I had, how often, actually Leanne mentioned, you said that you network with Tricia. How often does that happen? How much?
On a case-by-case basis. Unless, a lot of times we'll be in the same circle for different social services events or things of that nature. But it's more of our staff really talks on a case-by-case basis, sometimes weekly, sometimes daily, sometimes monthly, depending on what the situation might be. But it's the same thing with the neighborhood center. They're my first calls when there's a family in crisis. It's just a natural flow that happens within our case management. If there's a family that comes in
And if there's a need for rental assistance or anything in regards to housing, or in regards to car repairs or things along those lines that affiliate with their programs, we make an immediate referral.
Yeah, I know some of the volunteers, and it's pretty amazing. It's such a small organization, yet you have.
Yeah, it's amazing the
tremendous
impact. It's a small stuff.
Are your clients, the folks you help, where are they coming from?
They're coming from all throughout eastern Connecticut, but a majority is New London and Groton, and it expands out from there. I will share, we received tremendous ARPA grants from both New London and Groton over the past couple of years. Those are about to run dry. So they're not annual assistance asked, they were specific ARPA funds. So that's, I apologize, that wasn't put on the form.
So a lot of your funding is coming from, you're going to the city of New London, you're going to the town of Groton.
I wouldn't say a lot, no. It's not, it's like, it's a percentage, so over the course of, but when we're able to access funds, we definitely go after them. So when ARPA funds were available, we definitely sought after those. But I actually just today submitted the final balance for our New London Wheels to Work ARPA funds that is now run dry because we depleted that. So then when other funds come available in New London, we'll go for those. Yeah, thank you. And then just to also further answer your question, there are times when we'll partner with an agency. So like if Stonington Human Services says, okay, we have this one family, we can only do X amount of funds, but they really need help with this amount of funds, Can Always Home help with the balance? So then that's when we'll come together. So we're always looking to do that to see how we can stretch those funds. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, thanks. Rest of the area, rest and meals, warm? Anybody here from? No? Okay. Community vocational services? I guess that there's no
I did
question.
hear from TVCCA that they did not attend this year.
Right. And they get that TVCCA, you said it's basically Meals on Wheels is what?
It directly supports the Meals on Wheels program. So they're a very large community action agency. They actually manage our energy assistance program in Stonington as well. And they actually give us $1,000 back for facilitating the program in Stonington.
Oh.
But the Meals on Wheels program is all volunteer based and they've had to increase their costs due to, I know they need some assistance with van repair, fuel charges, as well as food costs. But that's a really critical program for the town. It provides a wellness check for seniors, not just the meal. Sometimes it's the only person a senior will see,
So you'd say this, we're heavily leveraged with this. This is a really, we're getting a lot of bang for our buck on this one?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Anybody else? The London Homeless Hospitality Center? What's that?
Here.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is David Horst. I'm the manager of outreach and engagement at the New London Homeless Hospitality Center. We thank you in the town of Stonington for your ongoing support of our mission to alleviate and end homelessness in eastern Connecticut. We are many things. We are an emergency shelter for adults experiencing homelessness. We also do an outreach program which I oversee for folks who are unsheltered, living in their cars or in abandoned buildings or in tents and sometimes even on the streets. We also are the hub for adults. We call it the 211 hub, where people can call and get referrals. And at the same time, we work very hard in what is called diversion. That is, try to divert people from the homeless system by providing support for them to get home to their families if they come from outside the area, for example, or to help them find what resources they might have before they come into shelter, or even worse, before they end up outside. We take a regional approach. We are well networked in southeastern Connecticut. Particularly, we focus on the shore towns, New London, Groton, Stonington, Waterford, and East Lyme. And we are fortunate to live in communities, and this is a compliment to you and all the residents and citizens of this area. We live in a compassionate area. People here really want to help. So we receive support from many, many sources. I need not tell you that the number of people experiencing homelessness is increasing statewide, and since 2021, there's been a 44% increase, and that's urban, suburban, and rural, and we're certainly seeing it in our region as well. And certainly our costs are going up, as are everyone's. We are anxious about the federal funding cuts and how they will affect us. So we are grateful to the municipalities and many private donors and, of course, state funding that sustain us. We're grateful to the City of New London, which provides many, many services, and you and other municipalities that provide support. The challenge and, frankly, the heartbreak of homelessness is even more apparent right now as we are coming up on the end of the current governor's severe cold weather protocol, which ends tomorrow. This season, and since December until to date, there have been 46 days of severe cold weather. And what that means, it requires us and all the municipalities to ensure that everyone who needs to get inside gets inside. So the shelters are strained right now. We also provide hotel rooms funded through the state as well. But I see every day the numbers are increasing. And it is our feeling that housing is a right, that no one should be living in tents. It's unjust, it's inhumane, it's just not right. We are known as a shelter and a homeless response agency. Equally important is we are a housing agency. We work very hard to move people from homelessness into housing. Once again, I want to thank you for your support. I'm happy to answer any questions. Oh, we're asking for a level funding for the coming year.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Safe Futures, I guess, is next. Are they here?
I have a statement to read from Safe Futures from CEO Kathy Verano.
Leanne, any of these statements you read, if you haven't already asked
I'll make sure they get to Jim. Safe Futures respectfully requests $5,000 for fiscal year 2026-2027 from the town of Stonington to continue providing crisis intervention services. Safe Futures values ongoing partnership with the town in stopping abuse, restoring hope, and saving lives for those impacted by domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, trafficking, elder abuse, and child abuse in southeastern Connecticut. Safe Futures served 100,000 victims with 122,000 service contacts. It's got to be 10,000, I think it's a typo, of domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, trafficking, elder abuse, and child abuse from southeastern Connecticut last year. During the 24-25 fiscal year, 558 residents from the town of Stonington received crisis intervention and ongoing services from Safe Futures as needed. This included 24/7 hotline, emergency domestic violence shelter, and confidential undisclosed location in southeastern Connecticut, walk-in counseling services in both New London and Norwich with triage mental health support, court support services in New London and Norwich Criminal Court, where 35% of the criminal docket is domestic violence cases, 6 other housing programs, and other critical services as needed. Safe Futures provides all basic needs from its own donation center run by volunteers served by community donations for victims who leave in the middle of the night with nothing. Children's holidays, first days of school, and birthdays are never missed. Nationally, domestic violence is the leading cause of homelessness for women and children. Our emergency shelter has been at over 100% capacity for the past 15 years. When at capacity, we house victims in safe and confidential hotels or transport to another member agency of Connecticut Coalition Against Domestic Violence. During 24-25, of the 558 Stonington clients we serve, 3 residents from the town of Stonington stayed in our emergency crisis shelter, safe from their abusers, and were provided wraparound services. Through the lethality assessment program, police officers assess victims of intimate partner domestic violence at the scene of the incident to determine if they are at high risk of being murdered, not just reoffended, and connect them immediately to Safe Futures' designated LAT phone line. Safe Futures collaborates with all police departments, state, municipal, and tribal in southeastern Connecticut, including the town of Stonington Police Department. Last year, of the 779 lethality screens administered in southeastern Connecticut, police officers called in 736 high-risk cases. Stonington Police administered 26 of these screenings at the scene of an intimate partner domestic violence incident, with the officers immediately connecting 16 high-risk victims to our agency. In addition, 15 students and 2 teachers from Stonington Public Schools, Stonington High School participated in Safe Futures Healthy Relationships programming. With your help, we can continue to stop abuse, restore hope, and save lives for those impacted by domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, trafficking, elder abuse, and child abuse in southeastern Connecticut. We are proud to share that we break ground on the Center for Safe Futures this spring, honoring our 50th anniversary, a place where victims come first and professionals come together. Respectfully submitted, Catherine Barano, CEO of Safe Futures. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions?
Did we, Leanne, we gave them 50,000 last year, am I correct in thinking?
We gave them, outside of this, money for the center. That's correct. And the center is moving forward. And there's been some questions in regards to that and Stonington usage, and Stonington will definitely benefit from that center.
But just for the benefit of the members, and I believe you are right, David, it was 50,000.
So that center's going to be open, what do you say, this spring, I think?
Yeah, I think most of the local towns contributed similar amounts of money, right?
If you look
To
at
build this center.
Yeah, it's in the file that you provided today. It has all the listing of the towns that give money to the.
Yeah, it was in the attachment from Jim.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of time, and none of you guys had a lot of time to look at this.
I did mine.
Leanne,
Chris did his.
not that I'm asking,
Yeah. No, I
for
got it. I
more
gave it to myself.
money, because we obviously have to make cuts in here, but just from your perspective with like, the same with, I think Dave left, but like, there's, say, Futures, them, like, they're seeing these huge increases or these massive problems, but they keep flat funding year over year, like, do you talk with them or check with them, like, are they afraid to ask for more, do they genuinely not need
No,
more?
we encourage them to ask for what they need. And currently, they're still sustaining with certain grants that they receive. I know Tricia had mentioned that as well, from ARPA funding to other foundation grants. Specifically with Warm and New London Hospitality, we work with them on a weekly basis. We have case management meetings every single Tuesday. And ahead of this, I encourage them, ask for what you need. The worst thing you can get is a no, but at least put your needs on the table. I think they're holding their larger asks financially for what we're talking about, for what might be coming down the pipeline. They're sustaining right now, but none of us know what the future holds with different federal programs and cuts that might be coming our way. So I think they're being conservative and respectful in that fashion, and we do encourage them to ask for what your needs are. Specifically with Safe Futures and New London and Warm, I mean, our numbers are pretty staggering for a small community. So the need is there, and the need is justified, and they have asked for what they need this fiscal year, to the best of my knowledge.
Right, Sexual Assault Crisis Center, it's like a $1,100 ask. Stonington Cemetery, are they here? That's the cemetery off of North Main Street, right? Oh, yes.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, Fred.
I'm just the treasurer. He's
Yep.
the vice president, so.
All right.
Good evening. My name is Dan Hassan. I'm the vice president of, is this thing on?
It's not working.
Okay.
Speak up a little bit.
Okay. Good evening, my name is Dan Hassan. I'm the vice president of the Stonington Cemetery Association. I'm here with Fred Souza, our treasurer. We're requesting level funding of $7,500 for 26-27, consistent with last year's allocation. The funds are used entirely for grounds maintenance to ensure the cemetery remains safe, respectful, and properly maintained. We rely on contractors for upkeep and currently receive no additional municipal or grant funding. The cemetery is both a historic landmark and an active place of remembrance for many Stonington families, and this funding allows us to preserve it with dignity and care. We appreciate your continued support and consideration. Thank you.
Anybody have questions? I just want to make a point that it's my understanding if your association with the cease to exist, the town would end up in possession of the and responsible for the cemetery. So-
Yeah, that came up when you asked for the increase last year, that, yeah, there's a state
Right.
statute.
Right, the orphan cemeteries end up the responsibility of the municipality, so. it's
So you're a
important.
savings.
Any other questions? Right, thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Fred.
Thank you.
There's some people, Sebus Nature Center, we already heard from. Motion, Community Chamber of Commerce. Are they here? ARC, $1,000 request. And Eastern Connecticut Conservation District, so I think that's everybody that's
The
here.
yeah,
What's that?
just ambulances.
Ambulance.
Oh, ambulances, I'm sorry. Okay. Are you here
Sorry.
for all, are you here for all three?
Hi, I'm Nishant Sahu. I'm the Vice President of Stonington Ambulance. I'd like to think I'm here last, so you have an EMT in the building, and not because I'm just there in the list. So I know there's a number of new members on the board, so I thought, I know it's a long night, so I won't stay too long, but I thought it would make sense just to give you a little bit of a rundown of how the ambulance services work in the town of Stonington, just so you have it from our perspective. There are 3 ambulance services that serve the town of Stonington. Stonington Ambulance is the one that's named, and we are the only agency that only serves the town of Stonington. The Mystic River serves the Groton side of Mystic primarily, and then Westerly Ambulance does come in and serve a good chunk of Pawcatuck. In the past few years, all 3 ambulance corps have made a joint presentation. This year, I am speaking on behalf of Stonington Ambulance and Westerly Ambulance. There has been a change, is my understanding, in the way that Mystic River is presenting their budget. And so I am not aware of how that is going through the process. We have not collaborated the way that we usually do in full transparency this year. But to go back to the overview, as an ambulance service, we're 911 dispatched. When we do so, we collect billing information from insurance companies while we do that transport. We then bill those insurance companies. As you can imagine with any doctor's office, we face the same issues where we get a fraction of what we bill. Our billing rates are actually set by the state of Connecticut. We have really no say in that with an organization of our size, all our organization sizes. And so we just bill whatever they tell us we are allowed to bill. And the only people that typically get that full bill and have to pay us are those without insurance. And so, under the ACA, most people have insurance today. And so just to put it in perspective, a regular old ambulance ride today will probably start right around $1,000. And Medicare, which is our largest payer, will pay us a little over $200 of that bill. So, and then if they're Medicaid, I believe it's about $70 that we get. Recently, we now started being able to bill for refusals. So if we go to someone's residence and they do not take a ride in our ambulance, we are now able to bill $200. So needless to say, when you think about an organization such as ours, or really any first responder or an ambulance, we need to staff the entire time, whether or not we receive a call, and that's really where the issue comes in, especially when billing is, we have a really good billing company that does everything that they can, but at the end of the day, we only receive so much in billing revenue compared to the expenses. What has happened across all first responders is just a lack of volunteerism. It takes a lot to convince someone to, first of all, come away from their family, spend hours in our building, and then on top of that, become certified as a first responder. That process can take 4 to 6 months and is not easy. It's a very difficult test. So it's a lot to ask. It's not just coming out on a Saturday for an hour, and so finding those individuals is tougher every single year. What that means is we've had to move more to a stipend in order to entice individuals to take calls at our building. So we have multiple different stipend programs It is the most popular now, and what has expanded our budget so significantly over the last number of years is essentially an hourly type stipend. Those who dedicate time to actually sitting in our building and complete an entire crew do get a stipend, and we have to pay an above market level, and by above market I mean by like $1 an hour, to try to bring those people in. Stonington Ambulance specifically has a lower call volume compared to both Westerly and Mystic, so we have a little bit of a better mousetrap to try to get individuals like, hey, you know, you're maybe going to go on a couple calls a day as opposed to back to back to back, so we have many people who are retired EMTs, that sort of thing, but still a big budget strain. On top of all of that, it's equipment, so we'll get to the SIP requests that we have in a moment here, but you know, maintaining ambulances and medical equipment and all of that is just more and more expensive every single year. A stretcher that cost $20,000 10 years ago costs $60,000 today. Everything is just ridiculously expensive. So our request this year on the main budget is basically just a medical inflation as opposed to just traditional inflation. It's a medical inflation increase that is on, in general, what we're seeing as an increase on our supplies, and that's what we're requesting today. Again, most of our budget is going to personnel at this point, and then we can talk about SIP, but let me just start and see if anyone has any questions.
Quick question, is it a change of staffing at Mystic? Is like Maria still there?
Maria's still there. I think there's been a slight change in the way that they're handling things. I know that they pivoted a little bit away from as many volunteers and moved more into the paid staff side of things and true paid staff. Like, for example, Stonington still operates on a contractor basis, so we don't have employees on payroll, and we do that by just letting people pick their hours. But places like Mystic River and Westerly's been this way for many years, has shifts, and they have payroll, and they pay W-2s versus 1099s.
Maybe it's more for Leanne, if you could reach out to the contact there, just since they're asking for a bigger increase than the other two ambulances, and that maybe they try and find a way to share more insights on that.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. If there's any specific questions you'd like me to move along, I did reach out. I contacted Maria, that's who I normally reach out to there, and also the treasurer, and invited them to, or just reminded them that it would be good to have Brett here tonight.
Yeah, we'd like to know what's...
Because you're at 4%, Westerly's 5%, they're at like
29%. And Nishan, you're probably right, it's probably staff.
I can almost guarantee it's staffing. It's my understanding, and again, don't quote me on this, that I believe they moved to third shift paid crews when that used to be volunteers, and that's, you know, then you have shift differentials, you have all of that, and that's a very expensive undertaking. So
We're doing that right now, Chairman of the District Partnership, and yeah, we're going to see double-digit increases, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Exactly.
No volunteers.
And I will say, you know, I think we've had sort of these inflation-based increases the last couple of years. We will be getting to a point where that won't be the case with staffing. You know, we're right at that point. We're actually in the process of chatting with an employment attorney right now to see whether we can even continue our contractor basis. We're right on that edge.
Yeah.
You know,
The IRS basically changed everything, whether we can do, how we pay people. It's changed everything, costs, just our administrative costs, and what we can pay. You got to pay market, or what the region pays, what the averages are. You can't stipend some people you can, and there's all kinds of legal ramifications, IRS ramifications for the services.
Absolutely. I mean, even just moving from 1099 to W-2,
Yes.
I think is about a 25% increase in cost for that line item for personnel. And so that alone, even if we did increase pay, would be significant and not something that we can currently sustain.
We have to pay Social Security by getting it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Are you
4Ks.
confident? I'm sorry.
John, I'm done, sorry.
Are you confident that the people that you're servicing, when they get that they do get a bill?
Absolutely, yes. We have
because I took an ambulance from Hope Valley over a year ago.
Yes.
I got a thing from my insurance company saying how much it cost. I never got a bill.
For like your portion of what you had to pay. So there's a couple items there. there are very specific agreements we have to have in place for Medicare on something called balance billing, right? So when we go to someone that's under Medicare, and let's say Medicare only pays us $200 and our bill was $1,000, we are not allowed to bill you for the difference. That is our agreement with Medicare to get their money. Balance billing is not allowed, and so that's the case with many insurance companies. We are not able to
You can't bill that person if it's over $200? Wow.
That's, we have to agree, it's the negotiated rate. It's the same reason why, like, you know, if you have you know your dentist really well, but they still have to charge you a copay, it's an agreement with the insurance company. The insurance company won't work with them if they stop collecting your copay.
Wow.
It
doesn't seem right.
Trust me, I wish it was different.
I keep waiting for the bill.
Yeah,
No bill.
it's difficult, it's quite difficult. And then, you know, on top of it, if you are a town resident, even if you don't pay your portion, right, if you have a deductible, we don't go after those individuals, we don't go after residents, and that's part of, you know, what we do. If they're out of town, absolutely, you know, we'll send them to collections and that sort of thing. If someone writes us a letter of hardship, we'll typically write it off, you know, that's a significant part as well.
I know you do give some people some leeway. Yeah, I know people that have had that experience, which is they appreciate it a lot, certain people.
You want to talk to us about the request for
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
request?
So that is for our 2009 ambulance. We have 2 ambulances in service. One is a smaller van type ambulance, and this is our second truck chassis ambulance. This is the ambulance we take during all snow events, so obviously we've seen a lot of use this year. It's the vehicle that we will take to any sort of marine accident, any sort of extrication, because it has much more equipment on it. It's a larger space. If we have multiple people in the back, they can sit on both sides of the patient and at the head. So again, it's sort of a much needed vehicle. When we only have 2, one must be one of these larger vehicles. That vehicle has given us problems since we put it into service, from what they call a liquid spring system, and you know that had to do with our building, which is a different story. But it's continued to give us problems to the point where our 1999 ambulance in many years cost us less to maintain than the 2009. We no longer have the 1999, but either way, it's coming towards the end of life. We've explored multiple options to replace this ambulance. The back half, what we call the box, is in great shape, right? There's nothing wrong with that piece. The problem is if we were to take that box and just try to move it to a new truck, which seems easy in theory, why wouldn't we do that? That process takes about 6 months and leaves us with only 1 ambulance, which is not good for the town of Stonington. It is really not something that we are able to do. So that makes our only option is to get an entirely new vehicle. The current estimate for that is 2028. We are in the process of finalizing a spec now, and essentially we have separated this budget request out into those 3 years. Now that we've basically agreed to purchase this ambulance, I think the total cost is coming in right now at about $322,000, but that is today's pricing. We are buying probably a model year 2028 chassis, so we don't know what that is going to cost. The estimate today is $322,000. We have been saving money as much as we can in reserves and fundraising. We think that we can accommodate about $165,000, and so the rest we've tried to spread out to make it a little bit of an easier budgeting situation for you folks to do it over 3 years, and that way we can expend that and you know, have some help from the town in order to get there. To give you the sense, if this is not something that can be funded through the town, it's a loan. You know, at the end of the day, we need to keep reserves in place for all those reasons that I mentioned. You know, this staffing could change any moment where we have a big expense and need to change things. You have a big, you know, someone could file a lawsuit, right? And these are all expenses we need to plan for. We don't have, you know, more than that in reserve, so it's basically a liability, and again, that's something that we'll have to service over time.
Bill? Yes. The Board of Selectmen reduced the request here? You guys reduced the request?
I think they spread it out over 3 years. I think when it was put in as one lump sum for this year.
Oh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right.
Over the next 3 years, and you plan on, I guess,
Okay, so
you're
the
taking
total-
delivery in 29?
28, 29,
28,
yeah.
So your total request over 3 years,
That's
based
okay.
on current numbers, is $187,000. All right.
So, yeah, we spread it out because
Yep,
it's not
because
going
of-
to be ready
yeah.
for another couple
Yep,
of years anyway.
yep, got it.
And you guys increased the rating would be.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody, any questions?
Can you speak to the power stretchers for Westerly?
Oh, yeah, good point.
It's simply a replacement. You know, they're those power stretchers, if you've ever seen us load an ambulance into the back, we no longer lift. There's too many injuries with that. The useful life of that equipment per striker is 7 years. And so they're right at the end of that useful life, needs to be replaced. You know, these are, unfortunately, what happens is they go to third world countries from here, and but they're past useful life to the point where a striker, if there's an issue, will not service them because it's not under warranty, technically not safe, so it's a must.
Is there an OSHA requirement? Do you have those kind of?
We certainly have. We have OSHA, we have NFPA, we have all those. It all depends on which standard they go.
You have to. You can't use it.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that the box is still in pretty good shape. Yes. I've driven by the Eastford repair place several times, and they have ambulances from all over the state. Are there any situations where it's possible to rent something for 6 months?
So it's something that we've looked into, but unfortunately the backlog of ambulances is so severe that no one has them to necessarily lease. Eastford is actually the company that we use and are currently quoting through, and it's something that we look through, but at the end of the day, it basically comes down to borrowing one from a neighboring agency as opposed to just leasing one. The only agencies that have sort of, or the ability to lease are major departments like FDNY, where they have, you know, those are sort of, they're eventually going to be their ambulances, but it's a lease program. From what we've looked into, there is no possibility. When we looked at replacing just the chassis and keeping the box, because we like the box, honestly, it works very well for us. All of that was on the table, and it was actually Eastford who told us this is the reality. Is, you know, you would be without an ambulance for 6 months.
And with respect to the stretcher, unfortunately, people are getting bigger and bigger. Is that stretcher sufficient to accommodate the morbidly obese?
Not morbidly obese, though those who fit into that category are what we call bariatric patients. And for bariatric transports, there are bariatric stretchers. In our region, because of the populations that we service, no one service has a bariatric stretcher like you would in a major city. What ends up happening there is we don't use the electronics, we don't use the motors, and that's where you physically have to lift. That's where the fire department gets involved. It is a manual process where we know the limits of those, and if that person is going to just try out a motor, we won't use it, we'll just call for a lot of manpower.
Nisha, you have no reason to know this, but if you do, you can answer, and if not, Leanne, maybe a question for you to take back to Westerly. It looks like they're asking us for 2. I think in their narrative, they said they need 5. So, but they didn't specifically say if they were asking Westerly for the other one, so it would just be good to know if they're asking Westerly essentially for any of that.
I think so. Yeah, I believe that's part of their budget ask in Westerly as well. There's, yeah, and just to add one other thing to Westerly, there's one other little piece that's happening right now. So technically, the paramedics that cover Pawcatuck and, you know, that side of Connecticut is L&M, even though Westerly is right there and they have paramedics. So for many years, they've been sort of a handshake deal that, hey, they're going to cover it because there's really no point in trying to get a medic that's the closest is probably Groton to come all the way out here. There's been some changes at L&M and they've changed that and they've wanted to retake it over. And so what's happening now is an L&M medic is getting dispatched. They're telling us their ETA is 20 minutes and we're saying, well, cancel L&M, start Westerly. It's just delaying patient care, getting a paramedic to them. And so Westerly is trying very hard to reclaim that area formally as their paramedic area, and that would just further involve, you know, or further put their services in Connecticut. And despite paramedics providing a much higher level of service than us, who are just EMTs, what we call basic life support versus advanced, they hardly get any more in terms of billing. So it's hard to support.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nisha.
Thanks, so.
I think that's it.
Um,
On this, so we have,
So before we move on, I just really,
Yep.
I
ahead.
didn't realize, I thought I only had one disclosure, but I feel like just for transparency, I want to share 3 disclosures.
Yeah, you got a couple
Okay.
things to talk
I-
about here. I see.
Well, yeah, so I'm on the board of Always Home. There's no financial anything, but if you guys want me to recuse myself on that vote, I can. And then Matt very kindly was very discreet, but he mentioned the adult cooking program. That's my mom. So again, I might abstain from, weighing in on that one too much. And then the child and family request that Leanne talked about, that one I'm definitely going to abstain from because that's a client of mine. And I started doing that municipal request before I joined this board, but so that one I'll definitely abstain from. But I just wanted to, for the record, share all that.
fair enough.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask if you were on the board, that board, just because you were first selectman.
No, I joined after, and I thought I was free and clear, and then here I am.
All right.
Well, yeah, we made you come back.
So, thank you.
All right.
That was it.
All right. Let me just put that paper clip in place. All right. We have a bid waiver request from the Recreation Department as our next item. To buy a truck, a van,
Transit van.
a transit van.
Rich has left the building, but I'm happy to present on his behalf and our department's behalf. So we've been trying to resource some options for our middle school camp. This is how the conversation came about.
Middle school what?
Our middle school summer camp.
Okay.
We had proposed doing some field trips. Some field trips turned into daily field trips for the course of a 5 to 6 week period of time. We've been kind of creative with what to do with that population. We don't have the resources in-house to manage a larger camp for middle school population at this time. We've got 175 elementary school kids, and that population is really different and not something you can just kind of group together without really different activities and different staff. So this is how the conversation came about. He started researching transportation costs for this program. And the costs were upwards of $575 to $625 a day for transportation. Rich's former life, when he was working with the YMCA, they had a van, and he used to drive that van. He had his public service license endorsement, and used to do day trips, basically, for that population. So we started digging a little bit deeper into how we would use a transit van, should we have it in-house. And we've been presented with different situations in the past few years of residents in need of food deliveries. And the PNC has not been able to deliver outside of Brookside and Stonington Arms. We've had our staff using their own vehicles or using the town truck if it was available for things of that nature. We've had other day trips that have had to cancel because we don't have the maximum number of 20 or 15 that's needed to go to make the trip not go in the red. So exploring this, there's a lot of different uses that our department would utilize this vehicle for. We have the funds in our special activities account to purchase this vehicle, and it just seems like a wise investment rather than spending on the regular costs of what the transportation would be. We aren't looking into getting in the business of transportation, and this wouldn't be like used in place of a hot bus or anything like that. It would be more for our internal programming. So what you see in front of you is a quote from Gengras Ford. It's a quote basically for a basic transit van. It's detailing what would be covered with that purchase. I know Rich has been talking with Jim a little bit about vetting out, a fleet management program and things of that nature that we would need to look at from a risk management perspective. But in looking at this, whatever ramifications or logistics we would need to meet for the DMV for the state or for risk management through KERMA, we would obviously make that happen. We did have someone with a public service endorsement on their license when I first started at Human Services, and at the time they were utilizing the PNC van that they were taking out from time to time. The PNC now uses their bus very, very much regularly for transportation, and we wouldn't look to take that out of their hands or even request that we use their van for our day trips for the summer camp program. But the summer camp program is just an example of how this would be used. This van would be used year-long. We would be able to do a lot more, especially senior trips, a lot more day trips and smaller excursions. And also to meet those social services needs of food deliveries and stuff like that that would be needed without utilizing our own vehicles or the town truck, which is often used by recreation daily.
And, sorry if I missed it, but do someone on staff get that license? and
Yes,
just
yeah.
drive it? That's not a
Yeah,
new-
Rich has had it before when he worked for the YMCA. Ideally, we would have more than one staff person get that endorsement. We wouldn't be looking to hire somebody as a driver. We would be utilizing internal staff that would otherwise be managing programs on site in different capacities.
Have you reached out to any local dealership to see if someone might be willing to donate?
We have not.
Like Rob Valenti?
I can do that.
Pops?
Yeah, we've worked with the Valentis before for our golf tournament.
He's pretty
They've,
generous.
I can reach out to him and let him know that this is what our proposal is, if there's anything that they could do, if they had any interest in donating, or if they had any match they could do. I know this was going through the state contract, Jim, the state contract pricing,
It's all, yeah, it's all state first.
but
Worth
I'm
a
happy to
shot,
do that.
right?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to ask.
And not to put you on the spot, but I know there was a lot of conversations over the years about like transportation being one of the number one barriers also for youth getting involved in after-school activities because everything requires driving. Like, would you envision this being able to be used either by you all directly or, I don't know, risk-wise, like is there any way to help with that kind of challenge by us having this?
I think definitely we would explore different opportunities outside of our programming needs, and I see that too as a barrier all the time. Again, we don't want to get into the business of transportation, but potentially on a case-by-case basis, working with school referrals maybe specifically of families that were specifically referred to us through the outreach program, that would definitely be something that we would consider because it's an unmet need.
Or just add, before I left, we were talking with Captain Schneider and Leanne about this, because there are case-by-case basis at the school where people who really could benefit from those programs can't, because someone can't pick them up afterwards, and it became that problem of who can do it. So, I mean, I don't think it'd be a huge burden, but it could make a big difference. in
And
some
that would be
people.
the goal of having more than one staff person obtain their public service license as opposed to hiring a driver. This isn't the type of programs that I would anticipate us even being able to employ a part-time regular driver. So I think by having a few of us certified to be able to drive the van, we'd love to explore more opportunities like that. There's so many limitations on families right now due to transportation. We do use the hot bus. It's been very successful in the current state that it's in, as opposed to having the route that they used to take. It's definitely open doors for people that need transportation, so we do always use that as needed, and we keep bus passes on hand at Human Services for people to utilize the seat service.
The payback on this is what, like 2.5 years? If your transportation costs are $23,000 for the summer,
For one program.
for one program.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is
and also the administrative costs of constantly having to schedule a bus to come in. That takes a
Well,
lot of time too.
And the use of private vehicles.
Yeah, that's,
By
yeah, we
town
should have
employees
that.
is something always bothers me.
So is there some way if we can check with Rob Valenti or?
Make the
or-
motion contingent, like approve the
Yes.
bid waiver, but
Exactly.
contingent.
Okay.
I'm happy to reach out to the Valenti group tomorrow and,
Yeah.
and broach the topic and just let them know we next meeting, you know, we'd like to see if we can work with you.
Sure. Did they donate the van for the PNC?
No, I think that was a state
Rick.
grant.
No.
I thought Rick Quinlan.
We
I
applied,
opened
when we
a
applied for a
donation.
grant, there's like a state grant program where whoever provides senior transportation, this was years ago. Jim, do you remember? You're like, there's $30 million in grants
I
later.
think it's the ECTC grant, the same grant
Yeah.
that does the rides for
Yeah.
seniors, Eastern Connecticut Transportation Consortium, and I believe it's through that program that they got that vehicle.
The funding for this is coming from,
The special
income that your
activities
programs
revenue
have
from
generated?
recreation. It's coming directly from the recreation program revenue. We've been laying out the master plan for Spellman Park and coming together and really trying to spend that down. That's what it's for, it's to put right back into the community. It's not for any intent for us to keep it. So we use it to do the upgrades for the playground equipment and things of that nature, and this just falls right into that
Right.
category.
This isn't an appropriation from the taxpayer. This is
No,
coming
not at all.
from fees generated from the programs. So,
I'm ready for a motion.
yeah, okay, so can I get a motion to approve this bid waiver conditional on Leanne contacting Valenti to see if she can find a better deal? Is that it?
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Danielle, you want that one?
Oh, sure, I'll second it, or first it.
Okay, so Danielle will be
I'll-
first.
I'll second.
Paul will second. Any discussion from the members of the board? Okay.
Good job. Thank you.
Hearing none.
Excellent.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And all those opposed, that is unanimous, so there's no opposition. What's that?
Me and Paul.
First, second.
Sorry, Joan.
Okay, thank you, Leanne.
Thank you.
Well, let me just get back to the map. And that, the only other thing on our agenda is a discussion of changes to the budget calendar. And
I handed out a modified one, it was a snow day, so next Wednesday, the 4th, will be the solid waste and DPW that was supposed to be last time.
okay, so everybody's assuming no more snowstorms, which I don't think is necessarily a great assumption.
I believe so.
But,
I think we could get another big one Monday,
yeah, David.
15 inches.
Are you serious? Oh.
Okay,
Sorry.
so
So what
we
day?
will, I think we're at a point where we can have a motion to adjourn.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? Sean has an answer for your question about Westerly.
About Westerly, yeah, so the other stretchers, they are applied for a grant, but they are requesting a monitor, like one of those big ones with the paddles, and a Lucas, which is a CPR device from Westerly, which is more expensive than the two items requested. Yeah.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Ooh.
David, second?
Enthusiastically second.
All those in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Aye, adjourn.
So the meeting is.
Thank you.